Hello my scrappy friends, and a big welcome to my channel today. This page is for Scrap the Boys for our March challenge, which is pick 3. I have picked cut file, stitching and stamping. This is the cut file that I'm using, which is of course from Cut to You, and here is the page that I have created. So it is a super busy page, lots and lots happening. But when I decided what cut file I wanted to use, I was very inspired by seeing what Gwen had created for the kit for this particular cut file. It is from the Kit to You kits. And so I went through my Cocoa Vanilla Studio stash and pulled out the Boys Rule collection, which is what I have backed my cut file with. You can see I've also gone around all of the black lines on the cut file with my sewing machine, so there is my stitching, and I really love the extra texture it gives. I've also marked where I think my photos are going to go, which does change, which kind of causes me a bit of a dilemma, but I do work that out in the end. And I'm going to double mat my layout. So this is the white so the black cut file is going to sit straight on top of this. I marked out with a lead pencil right around the edge of that cut file, and I've just gone in with some black archival ink and stamped all the way around "Challenge Accepted." That is from a Chamel stamp set from a few years ago. And this is how it's going to sit. I knew I wanted to add a bit of colour, so there was a bit of contrast between the cut file and this and everything that was going on in that cut file. And I'm using a Lindy's spray in, I can't remember the name of the colour, I'll just grab my paper. It is in Texas orange, yellow, rose, something. I'll find it in a minute. I'm sure I will. Yellow Rose of Texas, I think it's called. No, Marigold Yellow Orange is actually what it's called. My apologies. So I've just painted a really thin coat, added some splatters, and then popped that aside to dry. I'm working here on my photos. So this page is my big boy, who is now 11. This photo was taken in 2014. So it's a bit of an older photo. He was, I think, 3 or 3.5, and was insistent that he wanted to try some chili that I think my husband was chopping up in the kitchen. We tried to tell him, we tried to say, mate, you won't like it, it's going to be too hot. But he insisted. We really tried, and he had, like, there was no talking about it, so he insisted on trying. We gave him a little bit that he chewed up, and as you can see from the photos, did not enjoy very much. Poor little love. So the other thing that I really love about this photo is you can see his little brother. He starts off like way behind, and then he's like, what's going on over here? And he gradually gets closer in this series of photos. So yeah, I feel terribly guilty now looking back, but he insisted, and there was no talking him out of it. Like, he thought he knew. So what are you supposed to do with that? So as you can see here, I have started building up my cluster here, and I'm going to use that pattern paper for my journaling, that one with the lines. I thought it would work really well, and I'm playing with these frames. Now you can see that where I've got my photos, well, you probably can't see it right now, that's where I've penciled it in, and I've kind of stopped the stitching and not stitched behind there as well, which is where I get a bit caught up a bit later. But I do come up with a plan to fix that. So I'm playing with these frames down the bottom here. I'm really liking how they're looking all laid up. I really do struggle using frames, but I'm really impressed that I got these on here. I really like the way it looks. So this is how that bottom cluster is going to look. Up the top, I decided I was going to add in some frames, and I do muck around for a little while trying to get just the right configuration here, and you get to watch for a little while, but I don't leave it all in because it's really not that exciting to watch. I do flick through the ephemera pack here. I do try a couple of other bits and pieces. And then I just go, oh, hang on a second. Try this little tab first. I think from here I go, I know what I can do. I've got whole frames here. I can cut them in half and use half at the top and half at the bottom. So that is exactly what I'm going to do. Going to add some foam to this piece. I think it says limited edition. Yeah, limited edition, which is definitely my boy. I'm going to show you that. That paint in the middle was where I tried a couple of different colours. You can see here I've also stitched around the white cardstock with some black thread, and you can see now where I've got, like where I stopped the stitching when I was doing that cut file, which is what's going to cause me an issue a little bit later. Just gluing my cut file to my white cardstock using a combination of ATG and my Scotch tacky glue. Making sure that's all stuck down. Then once that's stuck, I do flip it over and, like you can see, just smush it all to make sure it sticks properly. And then I'm going to add the black cardstock border. It is only very small border, but I felt like it just kind of finished the page off. And this is the leftovers from where I cut the cut file. So you can see there, it is the tiniest little border. And I'm just going to use my wet glue like I did just on that bit there, go all the way around, and then I'm going to use just regular sticky tape on the back so that it doesn't get caught. And I'm going to go back through and add a little bit extra glue. Now while that's all drying and sticking together properly, I'm going to use my mat here to start building up my layers. Starting with my photo, and then I'm going to, so you can see I've added stitching around that piece as well. Again, that's the black thread that I used. And then I'm going to stick that clustered to the bottom. I'm going to stick all of that together so that I can move this whole thing as one piece. Yeah, this is a super busy page, but I actually really like it. What you don't see on camera is how I finish it off with a bit of with some vellum behind all these layers, and I think that really just gives a little bit of breathing room and finishes the page off. So I'm just going to use my wet glue and start gluing all my pieces here together. And like I said, I'm just using my craft mat, my Tim Holtz mat here for the placement. I'm going to go and stick my title down, and I realize that it's actually my photo is in completely the wrong spot. So I'm going to pull that up. I'm going to stick this part of the title where I want it on the photo. This is another one of the Annabelle acrylic titles that I had in my stash, which unfortunately they're not around anymore. But I can't remember if I mentioned it in my last one, Creations for You is the lovely Brie and Richard once again. So if you want any cake toppers, they are the people to see. So you can see here I'm working on this top cluster. I put it all together, and then I realized that I've gone quite high, and I'm a bit like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do here? How am I going to fix this up? So I'm just adding my layers here. Sorry about that. I just had a child come out here and just hover. So sort that out. And I am back. So yeah, I'm just adding all my layers here, making sure that they're going to sit nicely. Like I said, I really like how I've managed to get these 3 frames onto a page here. It is something I always have struggled with using, so yay me. So I'm like, okay, yes, I've got it all together, and then I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't put it where I was originally going to put it because it is too high, and it exposes some of the stuff that I've done behind that you're not meant to see. So I've come up with a creative way here. Firstly, I'm going to add a couple of pattern papers to kind of block out some of what's happening behind those frames, which I think works really well. And then, like you can see, I've added that vellum behind. I've added some of the word strip stickers, and then because everything else was so blocky, I came in with I think 5 or 6 of the little circles with the plus signs. So this is the pick 3 things challenge for March for Scrap the Boys. I can't wait to see what you create, what things you pick. I hope you've enjoyed my share. If you have any questions, please make sure you leave them below. And I shall see you in my next video. Have a fantastic scrappy day.